Good morning, Rob.
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm all right. Just hanging in there. Yeah, just another week,
Oh,
another
yeah.
day. Yeah, I called the DRE again yesterday. Stuff, and I guess they've only made about a week's worth of progress over the last 2 weeks, as far as
Okay.
so. I guess they're
What are
working
we, a
on.
month behind?
Oh, we're about we're 2 months and 2 days behind. Yeah. So she said that they were now working on like September 30th applications. And so the next, so she said like 1 to 2 weeks or something, and I'm a have to keep checking next week.
Man, stressful.
Yeah,
I feel for you.
it's real stressful. I mean, like they're just doing their jobs. She said that they're just been inundated, with applications and stuff, especially since COVID. And I get that, and there was a holiday and stuff. Just kind of wish that the process would move along a lot quicker. That would be real nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because right now there's only so much you can do.
Yeah,
Right.
I put things together, you put things together, as far as social media accounts and working on some, get some marketing stuff lined up, I guess, and just get more about learn more about lead generation and stuff like that, but my hands are still kind of tied. So I mean, as long as I'm ready to go when the time comes, then I suppose, that's just all I can do.
Cool. That's all you can do is prep, man. That's all we can do.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see who shows up today, and then we'll see where we take our discussion. Because if it's just
Okay.
me and you, then let's focus on whatever we can to help make sure you get prepped with our time. And if other people come, then we can talk about making appointments and working with buyers.
Sure. Yeah. However that works, works for me. I mean, I did have some questions, like, well, of course, well, there's, open house questions, some lead generation questions, other lead generation questions. Um, Things like social media, website type stuff, marketing type stuff.
Okay.
There's just things like that. I don't have a whole lot of questions about contracts at the moment. Like we talked before, everything seems pretty straightforward. Some things I'm not sure I'll really know until I come across the situation.
So you mentioned you had some questions, open house questions. What other types of questions did you have?
Yeah, like, just lead gen, open house, essentially, like the door knocking or cold calling, what have you. Just in addition to like a Facebook profile or websites, marketing tactics, those types of things.
Okay. Happy to cover that. Cool.
Awesome.
Welcome, John. Or John. How do I pronounce? Am I pronouncing your name properly, John?
Hi, Mark. Yeah, I'm Jen. Yeah, you
Jen.
can. Yeah.
That's easy. But thank you so much for coming. Okay,
Yeah.
good, Jen. Thank you for joining. How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
We're
good.
doing good.
Okay.
Getting ready for the week.
Already
Ready
got.
for the week.
Yeah.
Jen, are you?
Okay.
We never really had a chance to talk. Are you a full-time agent, or are you also a dual career agent?
Yeah, I still clear agent. I have like a full-time job currently. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And your status on your license is you're fully licensed and ready to transact?
I'm fully licensed like the day last Monday or Tuesday. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it took some time.
We know a little bit about that, don't we, Rob? Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I heard about the story of Rob, so yeah, luckily it didn't take much time for me. Yeah, so around 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Wow,
Yeah,
interesting. Interesting. Well, that's awesome for you. Yeah, that's,
yeah.
kind of makes me feel like I'm being singled out here. What did I do in my past life?
So Jen, are you working with any clients right now, buyers or sellers, or are you just starting your business also?
I don't have any like client right now, but like 2 of my friends saying that they are considering to buy a house like next year. So this is the end of this year. So everybody just want to like have the vacation time, have
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So, everyone's thinking about the holiday party.
yeah.
All right. Well, it's good. It's good. It's always, it's something that's going to be common in your career since you're in this business. You know, you come across people, they always want to do it because everyone wants to be a homeowner because the benefits are great and they're appreciating nicely. So there is something to being a homeowner, but it takes some time, it takes some sacrifice, and it's not an easy process necessarily.
Yeah.
So everyone's usually intention is, yeah, I want to buy, but I want to buy next year. So how do we get them to have some urgency so that they're consider making the move sooner? What do you think? You know, it goes along kind of a process, right? What do we know about the real estate market today? What are some just basic facts? Do we have
So
a
the
lot of
price.
inventory? Do we have a lot of choices?
No.
Right? So we have low
Yeah.
inventory. But we still have pretty good demand, right? People are buying what's out there.
Yeah.
So when you have low supply and high demand, what happens to prices?
The price goes up.
It goes up.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So if we believe that the price is going up and we have a prospect in front of us that has a idea that they would like to buy a house sooner than, well, eventually, right? And we all know by human nature, people would rather pay less than pay more for any given thing, right? We only pay as much as we have to. It's reasonable to conceive that today, whatever we can find, we'll probably pay less for than whatever we find tomorrow. Reasonable to think, yeah. So that's just the same thing you should express to those friends of yours, just to let them know, just guys, so you're not mad at me next year. This year, your buying power might be this. Next year, it's going to shrink because inflation's going up. The cost of housing and materials is going up. We have low supply and we have high demand. All those factors are going to contribute to the prices growing over time. So I appreciate you wanting to buy a house. It's obviously a great idea. They're going to make 10 to 15% appreciation this year, right? Maybe year over year, average over time. We're just about there, 10 to 12% in Silicon Valley, which is phenomenal. It doubles every 10 years or so. If you go back historically, go back to the 50s, you'll see the same pattern. We're unlike any other place in the country. No, other places in the country experience hot real estate markets, but they're maybe experiencing it for the first or second time. We've had it one time. Our prices go up. It's a very solid investment. There's limited supply, high demand. All those things being said, it's better to buy now than later. So just, express that to your friends and hopefully maybe get their inspiration up to consider a move sooner, right? And most of it is just making them getting their commitment and determination to start the process. So it's like, well, I can appreciate you guys wanting to wait a year. Are you good with paying 10 to 15% more? Because that's what it's going to be, right? Right now, $1 million is going to be $1.1 million to $1.15 million next year. Would you like to make that 150K? And if the answer is yes, then well, let's start the process now. Let's see what needs to be done. What's holding us back? So there's only a few things that hold us back. Most of it underlying is fear. But the reality is people might be saving some money or they may have some credit issues, right? So we can solve those. There's always solutions. We just have to understand what the problem is. So, Mr.
Okay.
Prospect, why are we waiting a year? Do we need to save some money, or is there credit issues? Do we have to wait for things? Do we have to wait for something to happen? And in most cases, whatever they come up with, we can overcome today. Oh, I don't quite have money for a down payment. Okay, but do you have any money for a down payment? You may not have 20%. Okay, I can appreciate that. Not everyone has $200,000 just lying around for $1 million house. Do we have something? Do we have 50? Do we have 100? Because if we do, we have other loan programs that we can get you in with 10, as low as 5% down. So you can still make that money on the appreciation. You still might have to pay a little mortgage insurance. It's, you might not get the lowest of the lowest rates, but even getting a slightly higher rate because you have a kind of a messed up ratio today doesn't mean that you can't refinance next year when things straighten out and get a lower rate. And paying a little more in rate today is infinitely better than paying 15% more for the house next year. Interest rate's only going to be difference maybe 1%, right? Price difference in a year is going to be 10 to 15%. And the interest rate's going to be higher next year. So compound that. Compound that, because we're probably facing inflation like we've never faced inflation before in this country. So
right.
Although they're probably not, it would be catastrophic for them to raise rates sharply. I can't imagine them keeping them this low. Eventually they're going to go up, and next year more likely than now.
Yeah,
so
but
Mr. Prospect, it's a good time. If they'd like to invest, it's real estate is one of the safest investments you can make. Infinitely safer than the stock market.
Yeah, but recently, like the housing barrier is like increased dramatically, right? So they think like maybe next year the price may go down a little bit, or
Why? Why do you think somebody next year will sell their house for less money than somebody sold it for this year? They have to make that decision, right? Why would they sell for less? Would you pay for something and then sell it for less the next year? Why would you? Only if you were forced. Well, what would force you to sell? If you can't afford the payment that you're making? Well, fortunately, the way we've been running our market those last few years, there's nobody that can't afford it buying these houses.
Yeah, but
Because people are paying cash, they're paying heavy down payments. So even if the economy slows a little bit and maybe we don't grow super duper over the next few years, we're still going to come out ahead. And we're definitely, unless something catastrophic happens, we would take a step back. But I'll tell you this, if something catastrophic were to happen and the real estate market drops, I don't care where your money is. If your money's in the stock market, it's gone. If it's in crypto, it's gone. If it's in the bank, inflation is gone.
Yeah.
So if your real estate market crashes and your money's gone there is no place for that money to hide, my friends, and for it to be safe. It's going to be gone no matter what. At least with real estate, you have a roof over your head.
Yeah.
And even though we have had historically, of course, it's not a straight climb, right? It's a jagged climb.
Yeah.
And historically, we have had small dips. But even in our area, and I'll only speak to our area because our area is unique due to low supply, right? They're not building houses in the bay, they're not building houses in the ocean. And the peninsula is what it is. We only have so much land, right? So that being said, even if we have a temporary blip, like the heaviest blip that we had in 2008 only lasted a year and a half or so. By year two and a half, we were beyond the previous peak and going. So yes, there are valleys, and yes, it could happen, but if it does, it's temporary. And over the long run, especially over a 7 to 10 year period, you're probably looking I don't know if they'll double, if they keep doubling, but everyone says that. 10 years ago, they said, that's not gonna double again, and it did. You know,
Yeah,
the
who knows?
argument that's being made, Jen, that the prices are so high that there's no way that they'll climb again or climb even more. This is an argument that's been made since 1960.
Yeah.
And nevertheless, our market propels forward. And it's just basics. Supply, demand. Supply is still low. If you tune into the List Club on Monday morning, you'll know we have less than 1,000 units in Santa Clara County. That's condos and townhomes, luxury homes, everything, less than 1,000. And how many people is Google looking to hire? And Facebook and LinkedIn. See what I'm saying? We got like
People need to
100,000
move.
jobs and I have 1,000 houses.
Yeah,
I don't see how things are gonna fall anytime soon.
the demand is there, especially with people coming back from COVID.
Yeah, everything, all factors lead to, if you're considering and you're not buying and you're considering buy now versus later, it's a no-brainer. And if you can, so it's our job as real estate agents to motivate people. And that's all I'm, trying to empower you guys with. And a lot of it is, just ask the questions and let them come up with it themselves. That's how you win. You can tell people till you're blue in the face that the sky is falling, right? But they won't see it unless they go outside and see the thing falling. That's just human nature. Okay, so that being said, how do we progress you guys down the road to transactional success? Right, Rob had some questions about marketing tactics, open houses, lead generation, door knocking, cold calling, all those great things. They all work. You just got to pick what you want to do and stick to it. And we'll talk about that in greater detail. And then how do we progress you guys down the road to working more with more buyers and sellers? Well, all of these lead generation tactics, there's going to have to be a common denominator. There's going to be a pitch that you need to come up with, your differentiator, if you will, your unique selling proposition. Like, why work with you? Why buy a house now? And why with you now? This is something you need to come up with to be fluid as your offer of service, if you will. All right. In order to come up with this offer of service, it's be interesting to do a little bit of research and find out what buyers and sellers are looking for from a real estate agent. Because we want to cater to what they're looking for in order to win the marketing game, right? So what do you guys think? What are buyers and sellers? Let's start with buyers. What are buyers looking for from a real estate agent, in your opinion?
Well, someone who can perform.
Someone who can perform. What does that mean? What does perform mean?
Well, I mean, someone who's doing their job, doing their due diligence on finding the client what they're looking for. I would imagine, someone who's bringing value and some options to them. Keeping them at the table.
How do we bring value?
Well, I mean, service. You got to be able to. You got to make promises you can keep. At least, you promises that you can try to keep at least.
Okay. Anything else? You mentioned something about service, high level service. What does that entail?
Sure. Well, keeping them in the loop. Keeping them. Don't desert them. You want to. I would imagine that you just want to make them feel like that you're working for them. You don't want to hit them up every day. You don't want them to get tired of you, especially when the results aren't really there. But at least keep them informed. Let them know what's going on, what to expect.
Like that. John, Jen, do you have any additions to our discussion? What would a buyer? What do you think a buyer wants from the real estate agent?
Yeah, I
If
think
you were hiring a real estate agent, what do you want? What do you want to see from them?
Yeah, actually, I want I want them to like do some job for me, like hire someone like contractor to like fix stuff in the house, and I want them to like negotiate a better price for me.
Mhm.
Yeah. So basically, like save my energy and like give me like much money. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
sounds good. So you want to save people time, right? You want to demonstrate that you can negotiate well, and
Yeah.
that you're well connected. Right? You have contractors, you have service providers to help the buyer facilitate the sale and own the house. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So how can we express these great things into a quick elevator speech? Just one or two lines to express to somebody your value as a buyer's agent.
That's the ultimate sales pitch to get them on the hook.
Yeah,
All that in a couple of seconds, huh?
yeah. I mean, it can be something simple. Like I had one that worked really well after I did a good job selling a house. I killed Zillow by like $500,000. So as the Zillow Slayer, I was like, well, I just defeated Zillow. They had his estimate of 1.8 and I sold the house for 2.3. Want to know how I did it? And the people that want to sell their house go, yeah, I want to know how you did it. Great. Are you thinking about
Absolutely, they
selling
want to
your
know.
home? Yeah, fantastic. When can we sit down and talk about it?
Mhm.
So you have something like that, right? For a seller, the price is important. So if you have an example of that, that's an example. For a buyer, what can we do here? Right now, it's just about getting someone into a house, right? It's really, really tough to beat out other buyers. Maybe we have connections in-house. We have a sister offices that work together, 200 agents. We have some off-market opportunities as well. So we do have some differentiators that can help us open the door, right?
Where do those off-market opportunities come in?
Well, you come to the list club and you hear people talk about coming soon listings. Also, if you look on the MLS, the coming soons, right? The do not show members only listings.
Okay.
Those aren't around. Those aren't shown on Zillow or Trulia or any other third-party sites. Those are only on the MLS.
Gotcha.
As the coming soons. And then
So all that, so I mean,
just
as I
network in the
understand,
office.
okay. So, and those are things that, like the listings that people are already working with as far as sellers are concerned and such. They're ultimately going to make it on the MLS, right? And
Not unless you beat them to it.
no. Okay.
Sometimes, not all of them do. Every seller has a unique situation. It always baffles me. Not, running the circus isn't the most important thing to every seller. I had a listing appointment where the guy, I told him till he's blue in the face, I could probably get him $100,000 more if we read it on the market. He was like, Mark, having 1,000 people walking through this house scares the shit out of me. I don't want it.
Yeah. No.
It's like, I lived here, I raised my family here. I would love for you just to find me a buyer. Just like, if you could bring one person to buy this house would be ideal. Just find me the ideal person. And I'm good at this price.
And at that point, you really need a real serious buyer to consider. You're just not letting.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of, at that time, I didn't know how to overcome that. So I never got that listing. But today I probably would approach it a bit differently. And I would have offered to do it off market because I know more strategies to sell houses off market now.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, ultimately, we want to do the best we can as a seller, right? And for sellers, you never know unless you put it on the market, especially if the market is hot like it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
If you go on the market, you'll get the market price. If you send anything short of that, you could get a fair price, but you'll never know. You could have got more. I kicked myself for not buying my neighbor's house. They would have sold it to me for 1.5 off market. But on market, they got 1.7. So they're happy they didn't sell it to me. I'm bummed. I didn't
Yeah.
pay 1.5.
Yeah. So I would imagine that there's, you know, some regret for sellers to get rid of their house off market. I mean, if they're not getting those competing bids.
Yeah, no, you know, and again, it's going to be up to that seller. All we have to do is present them the options.
Mhm.
And right now we're a little ahead of ourselves. Ultimately, we need to be in front of listing appointments, right? And whatever sellers' demands are, as long as they're not totally out of whack and we can kind of massage them into our mold, then it's a fit. If they're out of whack and we can't massage them into our mold, then we have to make a decision. And the best decision sometimes is not to take some listings.
Gotcha.
Because on
Gotcha.
the listing side, you got to invest some money. You're going to invest a little bit of time, not as much time as you do with buyers, but a lot more money than you do with buyers.
Hmm.
And if things aren't progressing the way they need to progress, or the seller is not on board with your plan, you can have a problem. Or if the seller's goals are unrealistic, you have a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. If you can't bring them down to earth about certain things, then there really is like it could be a money pit or just complete waste of time.
That's it. So for new agents, you know, we need to kind of, all agents, you need to have a quick elevator pitch as a little icebreaker, so then that you can then close for an appointment and offer your services and get people's commitments at the appointment. I would say every problem I've run into throughout the course of my job or working with a client only happens if I skip steps in the process. If I don't skip a step in the process, usually things move forward as planned and things happen awesome at the end, or get referrals and all good things, right? The first step in any engagement that you have with either a buyer or a seller is an appointment to sit down and talk about process and how you get paid, and have an agreement of working together at the end of this appointment. That's the simple explanation. We'll go into further details about the appointment, of course, but that's the simple explanation. Every time I've had a buyer that I've shown property to buy a house with another agent, it's because I didn't go through that first appointment. I just showed them property. Every time. It's happened. It happens to everybody. That skips the damn appointment. And you can't hold people. I couldn't hold those people accountable because I never expressed to them the process. I never had the appointment. So how can I expect someone's loyalty if I never asked for their loyalty? How can I expect some, you know, people to take your word and your advice if you've never had a meeting to qualify why your advice is valid? Right? So the ultimate goal is to start setting appointments. And the tie-in or the icebreaker for those appointments is your unique selling proposition. It's more important to have a strong, unique selling proposition if you're spending money marketing. But still, it's good to be very, very clear with even your closest friends what your intentions are.
Mhm.
That'll help. I think that'll help them refer you.
Sure.
You know,
Mhm.
the biggest challenge for a new agent is credibility. Right, my USP for the sellers in beating Zillow by $500,000 gives kind of instant credibility because I have that track record. But what happens? How do you earn that credibility without the track record, personal track record? You always fall back on your association with the office, your association with me. So whatever you can do to assure your prospect that there will be no shortages, there will be no sacrifices. They're getting the best representation that is available. in Silicon Valley,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, sometimes
we're-
your own personal
Right, and
proclamation.
both of you guys are working towards being the best representation in Silicon Valley. Because there's a thing on the agency agreement called the Fiduciary Clause. You guys understand what the Fiduciary Clause is?
Yeah, heard about it all the time.
Fiduciary
The
Clause is you
ultimate,
have to exercise utmost duty of care in dealings with your clients. So that would say that if you know somebody that would do a better job of selling that person's house, it's your fiduciary to refer them to that person. And if you know an agent that could do a better job of helping them buy a house, then you should refer that person to that agent. Now, what I'm getting at is it's important for you guys to understand that if you want to be in this business, you have to have that attitude that you are the absolute best listing agent in the Valley. They're fucking stupid for not working with you. There's going to be great problems for them by working with all these other people. So it's your mission to save them by having a great listing presentation and convincing them to work with you. That's the same for sellers and for buyers. And that's what has to be in between your ears when you're lead generating and when you're working in this business, right? You're saving people. There's a lot of crappy agents out there that are transactional, that'll take your clients' money without a fear or a care. And our job as full service, lifelong agents for folks is to protect them from that, right? It's not like you don't know anybody in real estate, buddy. You know me, I'm your good friend, and I will protect you from all these problems and these vultures and these wolves that are permeating our market. How will I do that? Well, I'm an expert at homes. We'll uncover everything that has to be uncovered when it comes to evaluating the property of your choice. So you feel comfortable with the condition of the home that you're about to buy. How's that sound? Want to feel comfortable? Everybody wants to feel comfortable. It's a silly question. You got to answer that. Yeah. Have that in your repertoire to be able to convert the buyers into the appointments. So think about that unique selling proposition, right? It's something that's going to evolve. It's something that's going to change. It's nothing is set in stone, but kind of put it on the path, right? So buyers want us to perform. They want to stay informed. So you're a strong communicator. You keep your promises. Keeping promises is not something you tell somebody. It's just something that you do.
no. Yeah.
Right. But ultimately, right, saving time and negotiating money is of utmost importance to both buyers and sellers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're looking to buy a home, I can save you a lot of time. You know, I know the lenders with the greatest rates. I have the best inspectors that are the most diligent. They'll do the best job of making sure they uncover everything about a property. And I'm very, very, very well versed in the market. So when it comes to pricing advice, make sure that you feel comfortable moving forward with any decision that you decide to make. We'll empower you with all the data. And then you make the decision. And then we go to work executing your plan, Mr. Buyer, Mr. Seller, either way. But ultimately, guys, right, we're working towards doing our best to secure appointments. It was once said that if you don't have an appointment to buy or sell, to talk about what you're selling, then you're not in the real estate business. So for you guys, ultimately, we got to get you into the real estate business, which means booking appointments with people that want to buy or sell. Now, Rob, you're still waiting on your, obviously, whatever we need to do to get that going. But to prepare for that, it's good to get your USP ready. And your business plan.
USP meaning ultimate sales pitch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ultimate sales pitch, unique selling proposition. Both apply.
Got it. Oh, okay. Unique selling proposition. There you go. All right.
Both apply. Both apply.
Unique.
Right. If you're working at an open house, a prospect comes through the door, right? Why should they work with you to buy their house? And this, the same thing goes for the door knocking and cold calling too. Now, for new agents, we're looking at lead generation activities that I would recommend, saving your money and leverage the lead generation activities that require maybe some more of your time and effort. Number one, you'll get experience talking to people. That's the most important thing. And number two is you won't waste money until you're ready. As a new agent, you want to build up a small war chest first. I wouldn't dig into a marketing budget from your savings coming in. Derive your marketing budget from your first 2 or 3 sales. And you should be able to generate your first 2 or 3 sales without spending $1 on marketing. And they should be coming through open houses. You can work your sphere of influence. And if we go in, let's go in order of probabilities of where those deals will come from. We'll go sphere of influence is number 1 by far.
Mm-hmm.
And number 2 would be open houses. And then number 3 would be door knocking, cold calling.
Yeah. With door knocking and cold calling, I would imagine that, if you're like canvassing an area like door knocking and stuff, there probably isn't an area that hasn't been canvassed already multiple times.
Yeah, you're not the first agent to knock on the door. If you're in certain neighborhoods, you're probably not the first agent to hit the door this week.
Yeah. And same thing as cold calling, I would imagine.
Both of those, yeah, it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those require very tough skin salespeople.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to hear no's more often, way more often than you'll hear a yes. You'll hear a fuck off well more often than you'll hear a yes. But be prepared for that. It's one of those things that if you're the cold calling agents, they know that the majority of the people they're going to talk to are going to throw shit in their face. That's part of the job. You just got to smile and look for the gem that will talk to you. And there will be people that will talk to you. It's inevitable. Some people will talk to you. And then if you have the talent to convert them, then you will. None of this is a short game. A lot of this business in general is a long game.
Yep.
Right. So we're generating leads. A lot of the people that we're going to start harvesting now might not buy for 3 to 6 months or may not be ready to sell for 3 to 6 months. We do our techniques to try to create the urgency to get them going. Right. Why next year? Well, we're waiting to save some money. Well, I have a lender that should be able to pre-qualify you with lower than 20% down, and their mortgage insurance rates actually are really reasonable. Like not too bad at all. West Credit Union, can I get you in touch? Let's get you guys talking so that way maybe you qualify now and we can save 10%. I mean, 10% is $100,000. That's like hiring a worker and taking his money for a year, right? $100,000. That's a year's salary for average tech worker. A little low actually, but nevertheless, still good money that you could make or you could pay by waiting a year. And if you don't want to wait, you don't want to pay it, let's explore these options. Let's get you in front of West. Maybe they'll have a great solution for you. It might be more affordable than you think. Right? You may be thinking $1 million. You may talk to West and 1.5 could be doable, which means, instead of a little shitty condo, we might get you into a house. You could live well. What do you think? Let's get get them excited. Let's get the process started. And you want to be in control. So whenever we get the process started, I will have my lender call you. You don't want to put anything on the other guy. When you put the responsibility on the other guy, you lose control. So you want to be in control. You're in control when you initiate everything. So I'll call you. Oh, we'll give you a call later. Is it okay if I call you instead? I know I'll be super busy that day. I may squeeze out 5 minutes. I'd love to be able to talk to you. Is it okay if I call you instead? Okay, yeah, I'll call you. You want to be the instigator of all these follow-ups. And the same thing goes with your referrals. I will, are you ready to get pre-approved? Great. I will have my lender call you. Would that be okay? Great. His name is Creighton. He'll call you tomorrow. Look, take his call, please. Or he'll call you later this afternoon, or he'll call you in an hour. He'll call your lender and goes, hey, I got a live one. You better call him up. Get him pre-approved. That being said, it's a good idea for you guys in the meantime to also start forging relationships with lenders that you feel comfortable with.
Are there, I would imagine that that everyone has, their own lenders kind of where they find on their own, but are there a few where everyone can agree on, something, this place is great. They always have good rates given, this credit history or anything like that is.
Lending is a puzzle.
Okay.
And not every scenario is perfect for every bank. So every bank has their set criteria of their ideal situation. And for that ideal situation, they'll have the best rates. And they're all slightly different. And I don't even know what they are. It's beyond my scope of expertise. I just know that shit, if it doesn't work for Bank of America, it could work at Wells Fargo. If it doesn't work at those two, PNC will probably be able to do it. If not, direct mortgage funding most likely will. There's always someone that can do it. And you build the relationships with the lenders by participating in our market, and participating in the events that happen with the boards. So when COVID is over with, hopefully eventually, we'll be back in our office. And back in the day, lenders would just come through and offer their services, talk to you about the rates that they had, just different. That was their door knocking, right? They would come to the real estate office and hand out their flyers, and some people you forge a relationship with and they become your lender. That's how it works. It's either they come to our office or you participate in the marketing meetings, and there's marketing meetings everywhere. They're kind of localized. Agents from the various companies get together. They'll discuss the listings that are coming on. They may have a guest speaker for one reason or another. And it's a great place to network. Those meetings you'll have, everyone's there. The realtors there, title companies are there in force. All the lenders are there. And it's good to have relationships with multiple people. Like I like to have a good contact at every major bank. Like you should have a Wells Fargo lender, you should have a Bank of America lender, you should have a Chase lender. People that you'll meet as you network throughout time. And if not, just walk into the branch and introduce yourself and try to create relationships. Because if you have a relationship with people, they could do favors for you.
Sure. Can even start out at your own local bank. The one that,
yeah. And it's not a bad, guys, it's not a bad lead source either. Because sometimes people walk into the bank and start the loan process first. Hey, I'm thinking about buying a house. Let's see what my bank can do for me. And the lender, he needs the realtor to get paid. He's not going to write offers, right? So he's going to say, hey, you working with anybody? And they say, oh no, I'm kind of coming here first. Well, if you have the relationship with that lender, you've got a chance of getting that referral. So it's good to have multiple relationships with lenders. I would say at least one at every major bank, and then at least one or two brokers. That should handle all your scenarios. The way I like to do it is, I interview the client, I ask them who their regular bank is. If they bank with one of those major banks, if they'd feel most comfortable working with that bank, I'd like to refer them to the mortgage specialist from that bank. That way you have a little semblance of control, because they're not all good.
Okay.
Just because one person works with Wells Fargo doesn't mean they're as good as the next guy that works at Wells Fargo. Doesn't mean they'll process the paperwork faster or get it done as good. So they're all different. Just because one guy fucked up at Chase doesn't mean the next guy at Chase can't do a great job. So be careful.
Hi, Mark.
Yes, Jen.
Yeah. So one of my friend said that she wants to get pre-approval and then to know how much can she afford. So should I adjust him or her to just like do the pre-approval with like different lenders and to get the like brief ideas, or
I just pick one. Pick one.
just pick one? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pick one. Pick a good one that you like and trust.
Okay. Okay. I see. Okay.
And yes, if they want to get get them pre-approved. That's step one.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because she came to me and with this question, like, yeah, I first need to know how much can I afford? Yeah, and she needs to sell her stock to
Oh,
get
yeah.
a down payment. Yeah, yeah. So that's why she planned to like buy the house like next year, so she can like sell her stock like yeah. Slowly then, yeah.
So the down payment's coming from the stock.
Yeah, right. Because
Got it.
she's in Tesla, so you know the Tesla, the price of Tesla.
Yeah, they
like,
gotta wait
yeah,
for that. You gotta wait
Yeah.
for that to pop. You get your dough, you buy your house. That's it.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Well, make sure that you're in the right place to be the agent for her when the time is right. And you do that, just maintain that relationship.
Yeah, last time we talked, I haven't got my license yet. So yeah, but I told her that I will get my license at December, so I will contact her soon, like before the Christmas. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Very good. You're on the road. On the road. I like it.
Yep.
So that's the process, right? We want to make sure they follow that process. Appointment. Have a great understanding for a buyer. You know, in a buyer appointment, what we need to uncover. We'll talk a little bit more about that in our next session because we only have a few minutes left.
Okay.
But let's kind of want to wrap up our discussion about generating appointments. So when we're prospecting or any type of activities that we're doing lead generation, right? We're lead generating to schedule an appointment to talk. And we can schedule a variety of different appointments. Listing appointment, obviously a buyer appointment with people that are intent on buying and selling now. And also, you know, we can offer to meet up for coffee or a casual appointment with a friend or potentially a new friend to kind of just get to know somebody better. Right? We're not maybe necessarily talking about buying or selling, but maybe it's someone new that you just met. So you just want to start a relationship, if you will, of some type, professional, that you'll be there, you know, you'll be there for them when they're ready. So everything starts and ends with that. At the open house, we want to ask questions, build rapport with people so we can forge a relationship. Same thing with any type of lead generation. We have to get really good at asking questions and open-ended questions. The sooner you can get into your open-ended questions, the better your conversation and better off the conversion is going to be. Open-ended questions are questions that require beyond a yes or no answer. If you're asking questions and the only answers you're getting are yes, yes, no, no, you're asking bad questions. People are not thinking about their answers and they're not engaging with you. Remember, underlying, the most important thing is we need to make friends with people. If they don't like us, they're not going to do business with us. How do you make friends with people?
You engage with them, talk to them. Just
What do people like to do more than anything else? Human nature.
talk about themselves.
Yeah, that's it. We're going to get really good at listening to people talk about themselves. And we do that by asking really good open-ended questions that allow them to talk about themselves. So yeah. Ask the open-ended questions to try to generate motivation, uncover what they're looking for, when they want to do it, and ultimately try to schedule an appointment. Now with open houses, right, people are at various levels. And sometimes you just have a good rapport with people. Sometimes it happens, right? People comes across your path, you say, hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? And you just rap, right? You just have a dialogue. It comes naturally. Right? Close those people, try to get them to go to coffee as soon as possible. Because we want to create that relationship. Hey, that sounds like we have some kind of nice rapport. You seem like a really cool person. I like you. I like to hang out, maybe get to know you a little bit better outside of this open house. Cool if we grab coffee Monday or Tuesday. Right? Don't be afraid to tell people you like them. Hey, you seem like a pretty cool dude. You're from the neighborhood. You're coming here. You seem like a pretty likable guy. I wouldn't mind getting to know you a little bit. Are you guys thinking about moving in the neighborhood? Great. You want to sit down for coffee on Monday, get to know each other a little better? I'd love to show you how I can help you. You know, and always try to get the appointment. Always try to get the appointment. Never try to sell when you're prospecting. You're only selling the appointment. That's it. If the guy has any kind of selling indications that they want to talk about the process, that's what you defer them to the appointment. That's a great question, and I would love to give that question the time it deserves. And right now, I only have a few minutes. I have to talk to a few more. I have to hit a few more houses. I have to call a few more people. Can we schedule maybe on Monday at 2 or 3 o'clock? We can get together, maybe over coffee. And I'd be happy to answer that question for you, give it the time it deserves. Or I need to do this. Can I come back at a later time to discuss when we have more time? Maybe set 30 minutes aside, and I'll answer all your questions. So everything funnels to an appointment. Then at the appointments, when you sell your services, try not to sell your services before the appointment, because you're not giving the selling of the services its quality, time, effort, and energy that it deserves. Do you guys have any questions, concerns? You guys have any questions or concerns about a USP? Did you guys take the Ignite classes, by the way? The last time it was through.
I did. I've been kind of even rewatching videos and such too. So
Awesome. So review
I'm,
the Ignite materials about USPs, because they have a whole class on it to help you get a little more insight. And let's try to, as homework, come up with a USP for a buyer and the USP for a seller. It's just one or two sentences of why we need to meet, why I need to know you. If I'm a buyer or a seller of real estate, why do I need to know you? Why is it a must?
so what would be a good way? Well, I mean, so I have a couple of numbers, people to talk to that Stacy kind of referred me to as far as kind of offer my services for open houses and such. But I really do need to learn like procedures and whatnot for that before even kind of jumping into that. Do I Is there anyone specific that I should speak to, or I mean, there's some stuff on Ignite that explains some of those things. I'm just kind of wondering, is that, yeah, it just doesn't seem like it's an exclusive list of things to do on the Ignite session. I mean, you know, if there's anything that others would, you know, would recommend, is there something else that I should do to pick that info up?
So, I mean, open houses, everyone has their style and they have their flair, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone has their own level of commitment and diligence and work, if you will. So to maximize an open house, you want to do everything that can be done. You need to market to the neighborhood, the open house, before you go to your open house. You need to market your open house to your sphere of influence before you hit the open house, to try to drive as much traffic as possible. And then at the open house, you know, we want to build rapport and do our very best to secure appointments. And that would be following up immediately. So a lot of agents, they focus on getting people to sign in, and then they wait till Monday and they just call the sign-in sheet. Guys, when people go on an open house hunt, they're viewing 4 or 5 houses. There's going to be at least another 1 or 2 other agents that'll be good. There'll be 3 that'll be terrible, of course, but there'll be 1 or 2 that'll be good. So you have to be on your game to win that client versus the 1 or 2 good ones, and even the 3 or 4 bad ones. Right? So number 1 is beat people to the punch. How do you beat people to the punch? You follow up right away. If people, number 1, don't ignore people when they come into the house, and build rapport. If you're talking to someone and another person walks in, finish your conversation before addressing the next. You may even not even address the next. Fuck the next guy, let him go on. Because if you're in a good conversation with someone and you can have a good chance of getting them to be a client, you focus there. You focus there until that energy is done, right? They're done with your open house. You've catered, you answered all their questions, you've built great rapport, and you've received all their contact information, and you have a great excuse. If you didn't set an appointment to meet with them after the open house, you have a great excuse to call them after the open house.
Now, when you say immediately, like later on that, maybe that evening or the very next day?
Yeah, no, like you pick up your signs and you call everyone.
Okay.
You pick up your signs and you call everyone. Hey, it was great to meet you at my open house. I just wanted to reach out to you before the day was over to see if there was anything that you saw that you really liked and you wanted to make an offer on. Step 1. You know, see what they say. Oh no, we're just starting the house hunt. Okay, cool. You know, I'm just starting come up with a great excuse to try to rope them in to meet with you and have coffee with you during the week. That's it. I just wanted to reach out. I know at the open house there was a lot of people coming and going, and I wanted to make sure that all of your questions and concerns were addressed. Do you have any questions and concerns about the property? Where are you guys in the home buying process? Have you guys teamed up with an agent to help you? I know you mentioned maybe someone at the open house. A lot of times people just mention they have an agent to get people to leave you alone. So I left you alone, but I just want to verify because I like you guys. I thought maybe we could have a relate. Yeah, I like you guys. That's why I'm following it. Who doesn't like that? Who will say no to someone that says they like them, right?
So,
Rob, I like you, man. You're a cool dude. Fuck this smart guy. He's an asshole. I don't want to buy a house with him. He likes me. There's nobody ever, right?
right. If you can connect with someone, just, you know, get them and sell the appointment.
Yeah.
Sell the
Yeah.
appointment. Now, what about, you know, what are the things that you don't want to do with the, you know, with the exception of, you know, the things that you shouldn't do like when you're selling the appointment? What other things do you not do during an open house? Like, what do you want to avoid? You know, are there things that?
Well, avoid conducting an appointment. Avoid conducting a buyer consultation at the open house.
Mhm. Yeah.
You don't want to get too deep into it. You kind of want to, you graze over what they're looking for. Hey, what are you guys looking for? What's your budget? Maybe ask those basic questions, but I wouldn't go too deep into, well, yeah, it depends on how empty it is, I guess, to uncover what their motivations or needs are.
Sure. But ultimately you want them to want the appointment, you know?
Yeah.
and,
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And I mean, there's a myriad of incentives you can come up with that could help solidify that. Right? You can come up with financial incentives. Right. Oh, by the way, everyone I meet at this open house that agrees to have coffee with me on Tuesday, what I do is I give them a certificate for a free home inspection. It's a $500 value. Would you like a free home inspection? Make sure you're comfortable about every aspect of your home and not have to pay for it. $500. If you're interested in buying a house, you're interested in the free $500. It is what it is, right?
Is it?
So, what happens? You have your appointment, and yeah, everyone who buys a house with me this month, I cover the home inspection. $500. I credit to you at closing costs.
Well, I would imagine a proposition like that comes a little bit easier when you've got, when you have some existing sales behind your,
Well, yeah, that too.
under your-
That too.
or
And
transactions.
you know what? No one, if everything comes and ends with you and your confidence. If you're prepared, you'll be confident. And if you're confident, nobody will ask you how long you've been a real estate agent, Rob. They'll assume you've been an agent since you were 12 years old. Nobody knows. And no one's going to directly ask you either because they don't want to insult you. You know what? They'll only ask you if you're not on your game.
Yeah.
Like, wait, how
Yeah.
long have you been doing this? How long have you been a realtor?
Absolutely.
Like, people don't ask that question that way unless you're doing something wrong.
Or you're doing
Right.
something really well. Sometimes like,
Or
man,
you're an
something
like
expert at
that,
this.
right?
How to kind of one extreme or the other.
Exactly. But either way, if you're prepared, you're confident. And if you're confident in what you're talking about, then people will have confidence in you and they won't stress about or even question how much experience you have.
And if for a new guy, I mean, if you're just coming off with that confidence or just whatever it is about you, and they're perfectly fine working with you if you're
the person walking through the door at the open house knows absolutely nothing about you.
Yeah.
They only know what you tell them or what they see.
Yeah.
So you're in control of that. That's the good news, right?
Right. Got to
So
carry
you're
yourself
polished,
right.
you're prepared, you know the property that you're hosting, you know the comps in the neighborhood, and you can quickly talk about what else is for sale. It's like, oh, we're looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Oh, did you see that one over there? And did you see that one over there? Oh, no, you didn't. They're not open. Would you like to see them after? Cool. Are you pre-approved? No. Oh, okay. Well, that's okay. It's important for me I can't really show you a house unless you're pre-approved, but the good news is I have a lender that works on Saturday. Can I have him give you a call? And your Saturday lender, you should have a lender that works on Saturday.
Yeah.
If you need to get someone pre-approved, you get them pre-approved.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, it seems like, obviously it's a great idea to make sure you kind of know the neighborhoods really well. I mean, dog parks, schools, libraries, whatnot. I mean, just whatever it is.
Yeah,
that
and for the open house prep, you should, familiarize yourself with the neighborhood and what's nearby. Familiarize yourself with the schools and the school that the house goes to. And then some basics about the property that you're hosting. Obviously, beds, baths, square footage, you're going to want to know off the top of your head. Age, you're going to want to know off the top of your head, and how old the systems are. The main systems, appliances and heat, HVAC and roof. Most of that stuff is on the MLS. And then everything else is on the fact sheet that you should know where to look for it on the fact sheet. So if someone asks you a question that's not like, it's like, oh yeah, then you can answer, you know what I mean? And you want to be comfortable with what's going on in the market. You want to know what, talk about the inventory. Any other opportunities that are there. 1 or 2 good opportunities that aren't open that weekend that you can have the key to let people in. So if you like this house, but it's not perfect, I may have actually the perfect house for you guys. Can you meet with me after the open house? Can you come back at like 5? It's just around the corner. It's just not open, but I can open it for you as soon as I'm done. Something like that to get them back. So as you're armed well and confident, no more question. One question. All
Sounds
right.
great.
All right, guys. Our time is up for the day.
Alrighty. Well, thank you much.
My pleasure. If you have any
Thank you
questions
so
or
much.
concerns, feel free to reach out. If you have any appointments that you have to go on and you need help, I'm here for you. You don't
Okay.
have to wait till the next class. Just call me.
Perfect.
All right.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
See
you,
ya, Jen.
guys.
Thanks, Mark.
Enjoy the rest
Thanks,
of your
Mark.
day.
See ya. You too. All right,
Bye.
bye.
Take care. Bye.
Yep.